Now come to order. Please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Councilmember Faye, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This afternoon, Council is appreciative to have Reverend Amy Aspie, the lead pastor of Short North Church, here to pray with us. Pastor, so good to see you. Thank you for coming back.
Let us pray. God of us all, and not just some. In this Women's History Month, we celebrate the ways that women have shaped our lives, the city, and the world. We also remember that equity and equality for women and all marginalized people is not yet a reality. So please keep our eyes open for how we use our power to capitalize, plagiarize, weaponize, and silence people who are different than us. As we lead this night, may we be aware of voices that are not represented and honest about who benefits from decisions. May discussions build bridges of understanding rather than creating barriers. May the most vulnerable be lifted up by outcomes rather than burdened by it. Guide us in ways of compassion, justice, and peace, and when this seems impossible, gives us the fortitude and creativity to keep going. In the name of all that is holy, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor Remy, President Harden. Any person who takes any actions to obstruct or interfere with the conduct of tonight's meeting may be charged with disturbing a lawful meeting pursuant to Columbus City Code 2317.12. Any person who enters those areas of city council chambers reserved for city officials or invited guests may be charged with criminal trespass pursuant to Columbus City Code 2311.21.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor Remy, President Harden.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. This week's communications received by the city clerk's office are listed on the agenda and will be published in the city bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read into the record?
Not at this time.
All right, we'll go around the dais, starting with resolutions and announcements, starting with Councilmember Bangston.
Thank you, President Harden. Just one quick announcement this evening. Also want to say happy Women's History Month, and to the small but mighty Women's Caucus. I'm honored to sit on this dais and see both of you make history every single day. Just a reminder to everyone that the application for Accelerate Columbus is still open and will remain open until all the slots are filled. So for all of those entrepreneurs and small businesses out there, please take advantage of this opportunity. Applications can be accessed through the Columbus Small Biz Hub at cbussmallbizhub.com or the city's website at columbus.gov/accelerate or on all of my social media pages as well. Feel free to also reach out to my office if you have any questions about the program or the application process. We really want to make sure that our small business and entrepreneur community is taking advantage of this great opportunity. Also, Council President, I just want to highlight something that I'm really proud of. If you look on tonight's agenda, you'll see just a handful pieces of legislation that will have a marker next to it that says either minority business participation or women business participation, and that's thanks to the work of the city clerk's office, J.P. Draval in my office, and also want to thank Director Jason Jenkins in the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. This is something that we passed as a resolution, our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it's really nice to see that on the agenda today. So I want to thank again everyone involved. Also want to thank the entire cabinet, all of the directors and those that draft legislations for your department for walking alongside us with this. It'll be a little clunky rolling out, but folks are getting trained up on it and are committed to the city's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that's reflected on our agenda. So really wanted to highlight that in the great work that my office and everyone has done on that. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Barosa de Padilla.
Thank you, Council President. I have one announcement and one resolution today. So first of all, Happy Women's History Month. I'll do that again. Happy Women's History Month. President Jimmy Carter declared the week of March 8th National Women's Week until 1987, when it officially became Women's History Month, celebrating and acknowledging the achievements of women, both past and present, who have helped build and mold our country, state, and city. Women are and continue to be trailblazers. As more women, especially women of color, continue to fight for equal rights, let's continue to work to advance gender equity, equality, while also honoring our stories that are often untold. This year's theme is in service to that idea by honoring women who tell our stories. With my colleague, Councilmember Favor, throughout this month, we will share stories and opportunities for women in our community. And on that note, please save the date for a free and open to the public salary negotiation workshop sponsored by my office on Wednesday, March 29th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Mitchell Hall on the Columbus State Community College campus. Be on the lookout on our social media channels for more information, or you can reach out to my aide, Amaris Lemus, at aslemus@columbus.gov. Additionally, I would like to introduce Resolution 0039X2023 to recognize and celebrate March as National Social Workers Month. This month is very busy. If folks want to come up, all of our social workers that are going to come speak while I give a little preamble. Social workers have had an immense impact in our community. They work tirelessly to provide millions with services to promote their growth and well-being. They have continued to push for changes that have made our society a better place to live, including a living wage, improved workplace safety, and social safety net programs for poverty, hunger, and homelessness. This year's Social Work Month theme is Social Work Breaks Barriers, which represents how social workers aim to empower individuals, families, communities, and our society to overcome obstacles, preventing them from reaching their full potential. The work of social workers of Columbus Public Health and the Central Ohio Area on Aging are examples of how we continue to use social workers to break barriers by addressing social determinants that impact our residents' health and wellness, including housing, food access, and transportation. They continue to break barriers that keep individuals from living a life to the fullest. With that being said, please allow me, Katie, are you the lone speaker this evening?
There's 3 of us.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure that my notes were correct. Please allow me to introduce Katie White, David Jenkins, and Danielle Smith to the podium. You can all introduce yourself and what organizations you're from. And I also want to comment, we had a little pre-reception, and I asked all these fine folks, and some of them were a little shy, but not really because they all came up, to be up here so that we could recognize them all, because I know that this work is hard. And even this little moment, I wanted to make sure that you were all here to receive it. So with that, Katie.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. Good evening, Council President, fellow council members. Thank you for taking the time tonight to recognize Social Work Month and celebrate social workers in Central Ohio. My name is Katie White, and I'm the administrator of the Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging, which is a program under Columbus Recreation and Parks Department. We serve 8 counties in Central Ohio through our mission to inform and support people as they navigate the experience of aging and disability. I'm joined this evening, as you can see, by a number of social workers from the Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging, Columbus Public Health, Ohio State College of Social Work, the Age-Friendly Innovation Center, and the Ohio chapter of the National Association of Social Workers. So often, the work that we do is in the community, in homes, in housing complexes, in nursing homes, and in assisted living. We work side by side with residents. Social work is challenging, emotional, and it requires a passion and dedication to the field. At COAAA, we serve nearly 14,000 individuals through case management across our counties and serve thousands more through information and referral, support, education, outreach, and so much more. This work is done through 267 social workers, and many others, of course, that I'm truly honored to work with. Your all commitment to and compassion that I witness every day is truly inspirational. And that is why an evening at City Council and a resolution dedicated to social workers is so important. We thank social workers for your passion, your dedication, your skills, and your expertise. We thank you for your early mornings, your late nights, your home visits, and your long phone calls. We thank you for your advocacy, your commitment to ethics, and your collaboration and support of one another. Tonight, we thank you, social workers, for all that you do. Our community is stronger because of you. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce a very talented social worker, the Assistant Dean of Strategic Initiatives and Community Engagement, Lisa Durham.
Good evening. I am not Dean Jenkins, in case you haven't noticed. I am a social worker, and I'm very proud to be here. Thank you, Council President Hardin. I'm also proud to be a previous employee of COAAA in the city of Columbus. I spent 16 years of my career there and some of the best years of my life. But on behalf of the Ohio State University, Dean Jenkins, and the Age-Friendly Innovation Center, we are honored to be recognized as part of the Social Work Month resolution of the City of Columbus and the Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging. This year's national theme, as you've heard, is Social Work Breaks Barriers, and we've been doing that for more than a century. Every day, social workers across the country and here in Columbus and around the world break down challenges that prevent people from living more fulfilling and enriching lives. Members of our profession dedicated to seeking complete equality and social justice from all communities and advocating on a systems level to ensure laws and policies are adapted. Our own Age-Friendly Innovation Center is collaborating on interdisciplinary approaches and to prioritize assistance for older adults through research, education, and engagement. The OSU College of Social Work is home to nationally ranked academic programs that are preparing the next generation of social workers and advancing one of the fastest growing careers in the United States. Our college has enjoyed a wonderful relationship with COAAA for over 30 years. We're proud to call many of your 267 social work alumni, including your director, Katie White, one of our alumnus. Our participation will continue as the need for social workers grows in health and aging. Over the next decade, more than 60,000 social workers are expected to enter the profession. The college is committed to embracing difference, seeking justice, and being the change, thanks to partnerships like this. And now, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Danielle Smith, the Executive Director of the Ohio Association of the National Association of Social Workers.
Thank you, Council, for recognizing Social Work Month. It's really the privilege of my lifetime to be a social worker and represent all of us with the National Association of Social Workers. I also want to recognize my colleagues here with the National Association of Black Social Workers. We work in partnership to represent our profession. Thank you to COAAA and OSU for their comments and invitation. Social work is a big profession. There are 27,000 licensed social workers in the state of Ohio. We work in mental health, we work in trauma issues, we work in child welfare, we work on policy. If you drive over to COAAA or Nationwide Children's Hospital, there are hundreds of social workers there working every day. Thousands of social workers live in Columbus, and also want to recognize Women's History Month is social work history because the vast majority of our profession are women. So when I ask people why they decided to become a social worker, you usually hear things like to help people, to build solidarity with clients, to have a career, to make change. And I would be remiss to stand before a government body and not talk about how we need change. So I will do so. That's why I decided to become a social worker, is to make big change. I think of Angela Davis saying, I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I'm changing the things I cannot accept. And that's what social workers do. So some of the people that we stand on the shoulders of historically, Whitney Young, social worker, was president of the National Urban League. He stood with Dorothy Height, another social worker, on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial while Dr. King made his I Have a Dream speech. Frances Perkins, another social worker who watched the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire burn and realized that she couldn't just do her work, that she needed to step up, and became Secretary of the Department of Labor under President Roosevelt. We stand on their legacy now, and it shows that we can do big things through seemingly impossible odds, and that truly social work was born in the fire of adversity. And that's what we're dealing with now. Other localities in Ohio are criminalizing for our work. The state legislature is pondering right now whether we should have disciplinary action on our licenses for providing ethical, competent, gender-affirming care. We are under attack, our clients are under attack, but social workers show up even when it's hard, and we'll keep following our code of ethics no matter what. And we can use the support of government officials to do that. We have struggles with our salary, with unpaid internships, with high caseloads, and you all control a lot of the funding that makes those decisions for our agencies. So I ask for you to support social work in ways that help us support our clients. Our work is hard, individually with families, with communities, with policy, and that's why celebration and joy is so important. And that's really why we appreciate this body of government recognizing why the work we do is important. So thank you for this honor.
Thank you, Katie, Lisa, and Danielle. Do any of my colleagues have any other questions? Yes?
I just want to say thank you and congratulations. In addition to sitting on this dais and serving the people of Columbus, I had the privilege of leading Gladden Community House, which is the second oldest settlement house in the city, and as you all know, the birthplace of social work. And so every day I get to work with an army of dynamic social workers who are out there on the front lines, many of whom that you probably have worked with as well. And so I just want to make sure that we say thank you for the work that you do. You don't get into this to get rich. It is purpose and passion work. But also I want to say unequivocally, it is also necessity work. Oftentimes we think of our nonprofits or this work as some luxury of living in a city, but really it's necessary. It is the safety net that folks fall through, and that you are there to catch them and to help them be their best self. So heartfelt thank you for the work. Continue to do the hard work and know that this council values the work that you do, and we hear you loud and clear. So congratulations.
Thank you, Councilmember Barosa de Padilla. I also just want to say thank you. You know, a large part of the work that we do here at Council is really contingent upon you all doing your jobs every single day. So we talk about reimagining public safety and talking about creating opportunities for safe and habitable housing for our seniors. That work can't be done if you all are not doing what you love, and that's serving our community. So thank you so much. We are working in partnership to ensure that we're doing the best that we can for our residents. And I'm just so incredibly happy that we get to do it with folks who truly love the work that they do every single day. Thank you, and happy Social Work Month.
Anyone else? I also want to just elevate, Danielle, your advocacy as well, because I think that is part of this work as well, is continuing to push for better. So I just want to say thank you for that as well. So with that, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor Remy, President Harden.
Thank you. That's all for, that's not really all for me this evening, but that's all for now.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Council President. This evening, I have one announcement. Staffing the city's rec centers and pools this summer continues to be top of the mind for this council. I'd like to remind everyone that the Recreation and Parks Department is hosting their annual job fair this Saturday, March 11th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Franklin Park Adventure Center, 1755 East Broad Street. Starting pay for lifeguards is $17 an hour, with the potential to earn $500 at the end of the season as an incentive. Anyone 15 years and older may apply. You can't apply, Councilman. I'm sorry. Anyone unable to attend the fair may contact the Aquatic Center for more information at aquaticcenter@columbus.gov. For more information on seasonal rec and parks aid positions, please reach out to Mr. Rob Reiser at 614-645-2348. That number again, 614-645-2348. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Doran. Councilmember Favor.
Thank you, Council President Harden. It's Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History.
Happy.
Listen, Councilmember Barosa de Padilla, we have all month to get this right.
That's a true story.
We're going to get the audience on board to do a round of applause every time we say it, but it is a really big deal, right? March marks the beginning of Women's History Month. Women's History Month is a celebration of women's contributions to history, culture, and society, and has been observed annually in the month of March since 1987. This year's theme, as Councilmember reminded us, is celebrating women who tell our stories. This theme recognizes women, past and present, who have been active in all forms of media and storytelling, including art, poetry, print, radio, news, and social media. This month, I will be highlighting a woman who has dedicated her life to telling our stories. Today, I would like to celebrate and honor the legacy of Dorothy Fodelheim, who began her legendary news career when she was already in her 50s. Retiring from teaching, but not the workforce, she entered the field via radio, heading a local history program and a weekly editorial on ABC. On December 17, 1947, when Cleveland's first commercial television station asked her to be its nightly newscaster, she became television's first female news anchor and possibly the first female television news commentator. A broadcast journalist trailblazer known for her opinionated and passionate personality and fiery red hair, she stayed with the news program for 37 years. She went on to work overseas as a field reporter and conducted high-level interviews such as Helen Keller, Albert Einstein, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., U.S. presidents from Franklin D. Roosevelt to Ronald Reagan. Throughout her career, she won many awards for her journalism and is often described as the first woman to be taken seriously doing the news, paving the way for others like Barbara Walters, Oprah, and others. So with that, we will move on to resolutions. Today, I have Resolution 0028X-2023 to designate March as National Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Columbus and to encourage residents to observe the month through awareness and advocacy efforts. I'd like to invite Mr. John Kavanaugh to the podium and Assistant Health Commissioner Anita Clark. Despite a decade of decline in colorectal cancer diagnosis and mortality rates, it still remains the second leading cause of cancer deaths within the United States. In fact, the National Cancer Institute estimated nearly 151,030 cases in 2022, of which about 52,580 resulted in a fatality, and noted an uptick in colorectal cancer diagnosis for young people due to unhealthy diets and physical inactivity. As with other health issues, colorectal cancer disproportionately impacts vulnerable communities as disparities in disease screening can lead to higher mortality rates for these populations. Data has shown that educational efforts can heighten public awareness of preventative measures, screening methods, and symptoms for early detection. It is imperative that we as a city take the time to ensure this information is widely disseminated, especially to marginalized communities, to fight to reduce health disparities as a result of this cancer. Mr. Kavanaugh, I'll turn the podium over to you.
Thank you, President Harden, members of council. If any of you are superhero fans in the movies, I'm sure you know that colon cancer killed actor Chadwick Boseman, who played the Black Panther. If it wasn't for my wife back there, who insisted that I go to get medical checkups, routine medical checkups, it would have taken my life too. Thanks to my Ohio health specialist, Dr. Scott Brill, an Army-trained trauma surgeon, I survived several surgeries which found that cancer had spread to my lymph nodes. He also admitted me into Riverside Hospital when chemotherapy left me looking like a concentration camp victim. The total cost of my care was well over $500,000, not to mention the disruption in my professional career. Luckily, I have a social worker from the cancer support community that has helped me along the way and continues to help me. We've lost too many friends and relatives to this dreaded disease. All my fellow patients and survivors are on a crusade to prevent anyone from having to go through the pain and suffering we've endured. So know your family history, see your doctor if you have symptoms, and get screened when you turn 45. Be a superhero like Lily and make sure your loved ones get checked.
Yes, Ms. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. That was wonderful. And really, you said it so well. Thank you for having me here this evening to talk about this resolution. Councilmember Favor, President Hardin, and other members of council. Ironically, when I was asked today to speak, no one really knew that my mother had died of colorectal cancer back in 2015. She wasn't quite 68 years old. That's way too young. Mm-hmm. She was a very private person, and so she really didn't want to go get screenings. So the one thing I want you to everybody to take away today is please, please go get your screening. But I also want to talk about the public health side of it too. As Councilmember Faber mentioned, there's over 150,000 individuals that are diagnosed in the United States on an annual basis. They do recommend early detection when you're 45 years old. Please go get your screens. Please be attuned to your body. Talk to your primary doctor. Don't be afraid to tell them what's going on with you. And make sure that you follow through and schedule your colonoscopy. If my mother would have scheduled, she would be alive today. So I thank you all very much for recognizing this month as National Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And screen, 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 that's my last word. So please do that.
Thank you both for your willingness to share your stories this afternoon. I truly do believe when we find the courage to tell our stories, it does empower others to do the same, but also provide them with the tools to be able to take the very best care of themselves. So thank you for sharing that information. Assistant Health Commissioner, can residents, if they don't have a primary care doctor, can they get screened at the health department?
That we are not a primary care provider, but we do have Monday night free clinic that's located at 240 Parsons Avenue, as well as we have 6 federally qualified health centers that they could get into to get a screening and a prescription to have that done.
And all of that information is on the website?
It is. Thank
Wonderful. Are there any other comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I'd move for adoption.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopted.
We're clapping for the awareness, not the cancer, right? Okay, I'm going to take this show on the road. Next, we have ordinance 0035X-2023. I want to make sure that our families are present. Dr. Spencer, yes, wonderful. I'm going to invite you all up to the podium now. We have resolution 0028X-2023 to designate March 0035X-2023 to designate March as Kidney Disease Awareness Month within Columbus and to encourage further educational activities about the disease throughout the month. Kidney disease is often triggered and aggravated by other health conditions, including obesity, diabetes, and hypertension. Prevention is key to reducing the likelihood of one contracting the disease. Thus, efforts to spread awareness of preventative measures is the best method to protect against disease progression and reduce further kidney-related complications. It is important to note that kidney disease can also impact our children, burdening them with intensive and invasive medical procedures, something we can agree is harmful to both their mental and physical well-being. By declaring Kidney Disease Awareness Month, we can recognize the importance of kidney health and celebrate and support the patients and families managing the disease in their own lives. With that, I'm incredibly excited to introduce Dr. Spencer and a few families to speak to this resolution today.
Thank you, Councilmember Favor and members of City Council. I'm John David Spencer. I'm Director of the Division of Pediatric Nephrology at Nationwide Children's. We thank you for the opportunity on behalf of Dr. Ann Dawson, Dr. Ray Bignell, and many of our family members, including Jalen and Jaden, for the opportunity to recognize World Kidney Month. And as you may or may not know, World Kidney Day is being celebrated on Thursday at Nationwide Children's Hospital. Kidney disease affects roughly 1 in 5 to 1 in 7 adults, and it has a more devastating impact on the children that we manage at Nationwide Children's just down the road. I've been managing children with pediatric nephrology-based kidney diseases for about 15 years here in Columbus, and they're some of the most challenging and difficult cases to deal with. To talk about some of these efforts, I'd like to introduce my colleague and friend, Dr. Ray Bignell, who's also a pediatric nephrologist, to comment on this, and then you'll hear directly from the mouths of some of our patient and family members today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Spencer, and thank you very much, Council. It's an honor to be here in front of you today, but it's an even bigger honor to be in front of and standing beside my patient and family member. You know, this is a wonderful opportunity for us to remind ourselves that some of the most debilitating chronic diseases in our community don't affect all of us the same. At Nationwide Children's Hospital, we have a commitment to health equity, and the reason we are committed to it is because as pediatricians and child health providers, we know that very often our patients are the most vulnerable, the most voiceless in our society. And it's especially true of children living with kidney disease because of the burden that that disease places on themselves and their family members. We have invited one of our patients, Jaden, and his mother, Jalen, to talk a little bit about the experience that they've had with kidney disease, and I'm honored to pass the microphone to them at this time. Thank you.
Hello, City Council. My name is Jalen. I have my handsome son right here, Jaden. He's 8 years old. Sorry. It's a lot, honestly, that comes with it. A lot of people don't realize that children, you know, can have kidney failure, just go through dialysis 3 to 4 times a week for like 3 to 4, sometimes 5 hours a day, you know, but giving him his meds are difficult. You know, hearing him just cry a lot just because he doesn't want to, you know, go through those painful moments, those long sessions, just by him and his immune system being so weak, he picks up on every little bug that comes airborne from the hospitals or just whatever. So just being a mom, having that motherly intuition, just staying up all night sometimes, just, you know, doing what I can do, just and with the thanks to the hospital, the doctors and everything, I just, as a mom, we just have to, like I said, just do what we have to do for not only ourselves, but our children and their health. But it's pretty serious, you know, kidney disease with adults and children is pretty serious. Any little signs, pay attention. So, like I said, as a mom, he's here, he's healthy, He's active on the transplant list, so our time is coming.
Yes, yes.
But thank you for this opportunity, and we got this.
Yeah.
We got this. Thank you.
So as Jalen mentioned, Jaden is one of our dialysis patients, so he's receiving dialysis 3 times a week for 5 hours a day. He's been, how long has he been on dialysis now? For 2 years. And so the next step for Jaden is to go on to kidney transplant. And there's different ways a patient can receive a kidney transplant, but after receiving a kidney transplant, there's frequent doctor's visits, weekly, twice a week, ultimately spanning out to several times a month. A patient after receiving a kidney transplant will receive somewhere in the ballpark of 6 to 8 medications a day. And you can imagine a young child like Jaden won't necessarily want to take that many medications. I mean, most of us don't want to take 1 medication a day. So our goal with World Kidney Day is to raise awareness that not only adults have kidney disease, but so do children in our own community, in our own backyard. We're working night and day to try to prevent kidney disease by advocating for our patients and raising awareness about the disease and raising awareness about the research efforts that are going on, not only at Nationwide Children's, but across the city of Columbus to kind of prevent kidney disease. So with that, we'd like to thank you all for your time and recognition of World Kidney Month and World Kidney Day, which kicks off on Thursdays. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any of my colleagues have any comments they'd like to make at this time? Let me just say thank you to the doctors, to the advocates, but most importantly to Mom. I mean, to be a caregiver is one of the most selfless acts that we can give, but you're a mother and a caregiver, and that is not easy work. And so thank you for even taking time out of your day to be here, to raise awareness on kidney disease, but to also be candid in your day-to-day struggles, only to educate someone else and prompt them to go out and get tested and make sure they're checking on themselves. So thank you for that. This conversation is near and dear to me. My sister lost her fiance, and in part to his battle with kidney disease, way too young. And so it is incredibly important that we don't just have these resolutions as a point of just formality, but it is truly a point of advocacy and a way for us to educate the public at large. So thank you all for participating in that. With that, I'd move for adoption.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Remy.
Thank you very much, Council President. This Wednesday, March 8th at 4 o'clock here in Council Chambers, I will host a final public hearing over draft mobile food vending legislation. If you'd like to sign up for public testimony, please email my legislative aide, Lucy Frank, at ljfrank@columbus.gov. That's ljfrank@columbus.gov. That is all I have this evening.
Thank you, Councilmember. Are there any comments by the other elected officials of their office, city attorney? I see Mr. Dean is here from the auditor's office. Ms. Deb. Seeing none, are there any requests by members of council for the removal of an ordinance or resolution from the consent action portion of the agenda? Hearing none, may we now have a motion to waive reading of titles of 30-day legislation? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Thank you. Will the clerk now read into the record ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation on tonight's agenda?
Technology Committee, ordinances 507, 560, 580, 581-2023. Public Utilities Committee, ordinance 491-2023. Health and Human Services Committee, ordinance 591-2023. And Finance Committee, ordinance 555, 636, 643-2023.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have no speakers on first reading. The following ordinance appear on our agenda as consent action. Will the clerk now read those into the record?
Economic Development Committee Ordinance 583-2023, Technology Committee Ordinance 388, 457, 586-2023, Public Service and Transportation Committee Resolution 32X-2023, Ordinances 464, 481, 482, 526, 532, 535, 546, 559, 585-2023, Recreation and Parks Committee Ordinances 372, 443, 445, 2023, Education Committee, Ordinances 383, 724-2023, Public Utilities Committee, Ordinances 373, 426, 500, 518-2023, Housing Committee, Ordinances 496, 603, 610, 623-2023, Health and Human Services Committee, Ordinances 473, 474-2023, Public Safety Committee, Ordinances 557, 565, 619-2023, Environment Committee, Ordinance 542-2023, Finance Committee, Ordinances 371, 424, 490, 520, 550, 558, 579, 618, 658-2023, and appointments from the Mayor's Office numbered A0094, 95, and 96-2023.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have one speaker on the consent portion of the agenda, Mr. Nate Wilkins, speaking on ordinance 0496-2023. Mr. Wilkins, welcome back to council.
1612 Arlington Avenue, Mr. Lothain George Wilkins from the Linden community. I'm going to say a few little things here again. When I first bought my house at 1612 Arlington Avenue, I took a walk on several blocks, probably at Genesee, Arlington, and Myrtle Avenue. It's a shame that I'm not going to be in opposition or for this before I say my case about this piece of property. 1415 Genesee Avenue, it was a unique house one time ago. There's a story here. You know, just looking at the neighborhood, I know we are vastly changing the scope of Linden. And here, what I don't understand here is we're losing the history of these homes. And just to look at 1415 of Genesee Avenue, this is the property that what it used to look like. And here, that the property had sit boarded up. There's no for sale sign or anything else like this at the time. At the time that I walked these blocks, neighborhoods and things, there's a piece of story in every single house in the neighborhood. How it was built over 100 years ago. I had watched my community had come down. I even wrote a letter a while back called Cool Water Development of March the 10th of 2017. And it talked about three certain pieces of property. It was as a value to me, a sentiment of value to me. Even though we lost 1592 on Myrtle Avenue, even though we lost my dream house of 1639 on Arlington Avenue, even though we lost 1606 of Genesee Avenue, 1638 of Genesee Avenue, it seems like Habitat's coming in here, but what I don't see what they're doing. My wife is sitting at home right now listening to this, even though she's visually impaired. It seems like we don't gear towards multi-disability housing, visually impaired. That's people that's in wheelchairs. This is what I don't see. But mind you, again, put yourself in my shoes or somebody else's shoes, one affordable house. But it seems like we're coming up with all these Habitat houses that is not suitabilized for multi-disability people or visually impaired. This particular home here was an icon in this community. It was a serious icon, even though it was one of a house kind that had an L-shaped porch. And here today, when I walk through my community, we don't have that today in the history of icons. And here I am coming to you, pleading and begging. If Habitat is going to do something, we want Habitat to do something different as putting multi-disability houses in this neighborhood, not this flexibility of Habitat houses for certain kind of people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkins. Director, would you make sure that you pass along from council that we'd like for Habitat from Humanity to reach out and work and meet with Mr. Wilkins, and we'd like to hear back about that meeting.
Will do.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions or comments to come before council on the consent portion of the agenda? Seeing none, may we have a motion of approval of these items designated as consent by voice? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Bangston?
Yes.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla? Mr. Brown? Yes. Mr. Dorans? Yes. Ms. Faber? Yes, with the exception of 0586-323,
Mr.
Remy? Yes. President Harden?
Yes, consent portion carries. We'll now proceed with the second reading of 30-day postponed and emergency legislation. The first committee to come before council is Economic Development, chaired by Councilmember Bankston. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. First up for second reading in the Economic Development Committee is Ordinance 0390-2023 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into an enterprise zone agreement with C.L. Stelzer, LLC, for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of the enterprise investing approximately $17.14 million in real property improvements and the creation of 30 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $1,134,000 at the project site. As mentioned in the ordinance, C.L. Stelzer proposes to invest a total project cost of approximately $17,146,315 in real property improvements to construct approximately 207,000 square feet of Class A proactive industrial facilities on a vacant parcel of land located at 885 Stelzer Road. The company anticipates that the development of this proposed project will lead to the creation of a minimum of 30 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated new annual payroll of approximately $1,134,000. The Department of Development is recommending an enterprise zone tax abatement for 75% for a period of 10 years for the project. And in that period, the Columbus City School District is estimated to receive an additional $786,550 over the term of the abatement and approximately $3,923,760 over a 20-year period. Additionally, I would like to acknowledge that C.L. Stelzer, LLC received their letter of intent from the Department of Development on November 10th, 2022, which is before the December 5th cutoff for our new wage threshold of legislation. So the jobs on this project are grandfathered in at the previous threshold of $15, but we're excited that this particular developer still has committed to those 30 jobs paying $18.17 an hour. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Faber, Remy, President Harden?
Passed.
Thank you. Next for second reading in the Economic Development Committee is Ordinance 0470-2023 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into enterprise zone agreement with Zero Outer Belt Street LLC for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of the enterprise investing approximately $23.44 million in real property improvements and the creation of 25 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $1,040,000. Council members on Zero Outer Belt Street LLC is in partnership that is comprised of 3 members of Crawford Hoying who will serve as the sponsor entity that invests directly in and oversees the development of this project. Zero Outer Belt Street LLC is proposing to invest a total project cost of roughly $30,444,390, which includes $23,440,390 in real property improvements and $7 million in acquisition costs to construct an approximately 205,000 square foot Class A proactive industrial facility located near or on Outer Belt Street on 4 contiguous parcels. More specifically, this proposed facility will increase our region's cold storage capacity, which further strengthens our competitiveness for the storage and movement of products that are temperature sensitive, such as foods, craft goods, biopharmaceuticals, and cosmetics. The Department of Development is recommending an enterprise zone agreement in the amount of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years for the project and the company's anticipation and creation of a minimum of 25 new jobs all paying $20 an hour, our new wage threshold. The Gahanna Jefferson City Schools District is estimated to receive an additional $1,180,000 over the term of the abatement and approximately $5,902,259 over a 20-year period. If there are any questions or comments from my colleagues, seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And finally, for second reading in the Economic Development Committee is Ordinance 0595-2023. And I'm really excited about this piece of legislation and the work that has been done already. This ordinance is to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into a not-for-profit service contract with the Affordable Housing Trust for Columbus and Franklin County, to authorize the appropriation and expenditure of up to $2,500,000 from the Neighborhood Economic Development Fund, and to declare an emergency. The Emerging Developer Accelerator Program, EDAP for short, is the Affordable Housing Trust's minority developer cultivation and training program designed to create pathways to development careers for groups who have historically faced barriers. Two of the primary purposes of the program is to address both the lack of affordable housing in our region and the challenges faced by minorities entering the real estate development ecosystem. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Director Stevens to talk a little bit about this program and the great outcomes that we have seen. Director?
Thank you, President Harden, Chair Banks, and members of council. We're excited to be partnering with the Affordable Housing Trust on this program, because what it does is it really provides that access and opportunity to those up-and-coming developers in our community that traditionally have not had that same type of access that's been provided to others. So it's a great partnership. I know we have representatives from the Housing Trust here as well tonight, so I'm going to be brief and let them come up and talk a little bit more about what they're doing.
Thank you, Director. And they are coming up now, and tonight we have in chambers a good friend of mine, a great community leader who has done so much work in the public sector, Ms. Tynesha Harden, who's the Director of the EDAP program and community engagement for the Affordable Housing Trust, and one of my favorite developers in the city, Aaron McDaniel, is here as well just to talk about the program. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Harden.
Good evening, Council President Harden, Chair Bankston, members of council. Again, my name is Tynesha Harden, and I serve as the Director of the Emerging Developers Accelerator Program at the Affordable Housing Trust. So the EDAP, or EDAP, it's a 6-month training program for underrepresented developers, specifically women and people of color who have historically not been well represented in real estate development. So we sort of see the mission of our program twofold. As you mentioned, we're hoping to help tackle our city's housing crisis by bringing more units online, and we're also hoping to help build generational wealth for the individuals that participate in our program. So through the 6-month course, they actually learn everything about development, from legal structuring to financing to putting together a pro forma and just best practices for packaging a deal. All of our classes are actually taught by local developers, some of the biggest developers in the city, and it's a great opportunity for our cohort members to really learn from the best in the business. One of the things we like to say is that this program really helps our developers have access to information, access to capital, which your funding tonight is going to help support, and also access to networks. So I really want to take this opportunity to really thank the city. Everyone at the city has truly wrapped their arms around this program. We've had visits from Mayor Ginther, from Councilmember Favor, Councilmember Dorans. Many thanks to Director Jenkins, Director Messer, who have all had the opportunity to meet with our developers. So tonight I'm really excited to introduce one of our developers, Aaron McDaniel, just to share a little bit more about his experience and some cool, exciting stuff that he's working on.
Thank you, Director Harden, and thank you, President Harden, as well as City Council members. As said, my name is Aaron McDaniel, and I'm a principal of Blueprint Investments. We're a small real estate development company, and we're focused on the affordable housing space within Columbus. As we're all aware, Columbus is short about 254,000 units when it comes to the growth and demographic changes that are happening within the city. And so currently, our company is completing our first new construction project. It's called the Savriel Apartment Development It's a 27-unit, high-quality, affordable housing apartment, and you guys consider this all as an invite to come look at my project when you guys are ready. I'm standing here really on the shoulders of many people before me. This includes Director Hardin, as well as President Mallory, Director Michael Stevens. A lot of people have really wrapped their arms around this project to make what's possible, what's happening now, possible. And I wouldn't be here literally without it, and I think I speak for all of the members of our cohort. So as a graduating member of the EDAP program, I'm extremely thankful for everyone who has provided a pathway to resources and relationships. And I'm honored and appreciative for the program and the opportunity to look forward to helping create and preserve affordable housing within our city. Thanks a lot.
Thank you both. And I say that Aaron's my favorite developer because that project he's talking about, when I was in the East High School Marching Band, we marched down that street every Friday. And for as long as I can remember, it was a dilapidated building there. And to see it come back online and be additive to that community, in a community that is vastly, as you know, changing, to be able to preserve affordable housing there, that's what this program is really all about. So thank you for all the work that you are doing. Thank you, Aaron, for being a catalyst in this and being a part of the first cohort and making it successful. But really, this work that you all are doing is really our commitment to intentionality. When we talk about diversity, we talk about equity, we talk about inclusion. You can't talk about that without being intentional. Our city is going to continue to grow. We need more housing units, and that means that there are going to be more developers in that space. And so we have to be intentional in making sure that we are investing in Black developers, minority developers, women developers who have not had the access to capital nor the tools necessary to build the capacity they need to meet this moment. So I'm so proud of this work. I also want to thank Councilmember Favor because I know that she was on point with this in the beginning. This is before I sat on this dais, so thank you for your leadership and vision around this, but really excited about the work that you are doing, so thank you so much. Are there any comments or questions from my colleagues?
I'll do it.
Go ahead.
Just want to, good to see Director Hardin, and thank you for your leadership of this organization. I hear that this is there's capacity out there, or there's need for this type of program. I hear there's waiting list for folks trying to get into this program. I talk to young developers, folks want to get into this business, and they're talking about EDAP. So it shows that there was the pent-up need for something like this, and I think that also then leads me to give an appreciation to Lark Mallory. For coming up with this idea and advocating to the city and the county to support it. I think this is good work in action, and we are, just as Councilmember Bankson said, going to start to see the dividends pay forward from the work that this program is doing. So just thank you for your work.
Thank you.
And with that, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Passed. Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. And that is all we have in economic development in my committees this evening, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next committee to come before Council is the Public Service and Transportation Committee, chaired by Councilmember Barosa de Padilla. Councilmember, floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. I have two ordinances today in public service. 0499-2023 to amend the 2022 capital improvement budget to authorize the transfer of funds and appropriation within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into a professional services agreement with DR Engineering Incorporated for the roadway multimodal corridor, Mount Vernon Avenue, Hamilton Avenue to Taylor Avenue project, and to authorize the expenditure of up to $400,000 from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund to pay for this contract. I'm excited to share some updates and improvements with the traffic safety on Mount Vernon Avenue and Champion. At this high crash intersection, tactical urbanism was used, thanks to Councilmember Favor, to improve traffic safety by reducing speeds and crashes. Tactical urbanism is an approach that provides low-cost temporary interventions to address traffic concerns. This was done by installing a four-way stop sign at Champion and Mount Vernon, at Ohio Avenue and Mount Vernon, and additionally crosswalks at 22nd and Champion, striped parking lanes with curb extensions delineated with flex posts were installed to slow speeding. You can see it in our, I like the show and tell. You can see that in these photos showcasing the flex posts and bump outs that were installed. The number and severity of crashes were reduced significantly after the tactical urbanism installation. Comparing crashes before and after installation shows that crashes were reduced by approximately 65% and fatal injury crashes were reduced by roughly 83%. We're excited to pass this ordinance to begin contract on permanent solutions for this intersection that you see here. We've also invested $300,000 towards initiatives like this, and in the coming months, another form of tactical urbanism will be used along Thurman Avenue due to its relevance on the high injury network. And during Bike Month in May, we'll be rolling out a number of initiatives that address both traffic safety and mobility. I want to again thank Councilmember Favor for leading the way. I saw your investments in tactical urbanism as a way to address and get solutions out on the street today as we continue to plan for more permanent solutions, which are now coming. So you see the fruits of your labor. Assistant Director Winslow, is there anything that you would like to add about this particular project?
Thank you, Chair Barosa de Padilla, President Hard, members of council. So continuing with the safety improvements that we're doing on Mount Vernon and some of those more permanent improvements that you were talking about, council member, this contract is going to authorize a professional service agreement with HDR, as you mentioned, in the amount of $400,000, and it's going to focus on multimodal corridor improvements on Mount Vernon. These improvements are going to be made from Hamilton Avenue to Taylor Avenue. The primary improvements of this Vision Zero project, which is important for our department, consist of a separated bike lane. We're looking at a two-way cycle track that is planned for most of that project limit, except a little bit farther east of Phillips Road where the pavement kind of narrows there. We're looking at some long-term preferences for that part of the corridor from Mount Vernon, basically from Phillips to Taylor, where we're going to maybe put a shared use path in to replace the sidewalk. That will be included within this design contract, with likely construction later in a later phase. And finally, this design work will start early in 2023. Construction will take place probably later in 2024. I'd like to thank council for considering this ordinance as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any of my colleagues have questions or comments? I just want to say we're talking a lot about traffic. We've been continuing to talk about traffic. This is our moves to, we know that these are small, dense, and small incremental changes that we're making in our communities and our neighborhoods to address some of the concerns that folks have continuously brought up to us. So you're going to hear about more of those. So I'm excited that we're making moves to these more permanent solutions. So if there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Bankston?
Yes.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorans? Yes. Ms. Favor? Mr. Remy? Yes. President Harden?
Yes. Ordinance is passed.
Thank you. 0592-2023 to amend the 2022 capital improvement budget to authorize and direct the city auditor to appropriate and transfer funds from the special income tax fund to the streets and highways bond fund, to authorize the director of public service to enter into contract with the Kokosing construction company for the resurfacing 2023 Project 1, to authorize the expenditure of up to $9,764,509.37 from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, and to declare an emergency. So we are excited to announce the first round of resurfacing in 2023. The city will be repairing and resurfacing 59 city streets and constructing 197 ADA curb ramps along those streets. Mr. Wilkinson, I just wanted to highlight that for you because I know that we added disabilities onto our Veterans and Senior committee, and I just want to highlight when we have the opportunities to make these impacts to make the city more accessible for everyone. So a list of the streets names will be posted online on the city's website, so columbus.gov/public-service/streets/resurfacing. I bet you could also Google it and find it. This work will begin on April 20th, 2023. Before we move for passage, Assistant Director, can you talk a little bit about how we decide on the streets and then the phasing process, just so our residents know?
Yes, thank you, Chair Barosa de Padilla, President Hard, members of council. There's typically 8 factors that we're kind of looking at, general factors that we're looking at when we determine what streets we're going to resurface in any particular year. First off, we'll look at the pavement condition. You'll hear us talk a lot about PCN number or pavement condition number. Every 3, 4, or 5 years, we'll work with a consultant to actually look at all 5,700 lane miles across the city of Columbus to determine what kind of condition they are in. And we'll assign a rating number to that condition. We'll also look at traffic. So we'll look at how much traffic is occurring daily, weekly, yearly on that roadway. So a street that is seeing significantly more traffic would have a higher priority than a street that would, say, be more of a residential or low-traffic street that doesn't need to be as resurfaced as often. We'll also take input from our street maintenance staff. So these are our individuals, our group of people, our operators, our street investigators that are out in the streets looking at those every day. So they're noticing different conditions within the roadways and reporting back to us and our resurfacing staff to determine which ones might fit into that category. We also take a lot of input from 311 and public service, or from the public. So when you're calling in, you're seeing items out in your roadways and saying, hey, something doesn't look right, there's a lot of potholes. We take those investigations seriously, and we go out and look at those streets and look at things that might be happening in those streets in between resurfacing. We'll also look at when it was last resurfaced. So if we typically like to see our streets resurfaced every 20 to 25 years. So if it's falling, quicker into the category of deteriorating, we'll go out and look at it, and we might put that on the list earlier too. Excuse me. And we look at other projects. So we don't want to go out and want to resurface a street knowing that utilities in a year later is going to come and put a water line in. So we look at conflicts through our project management information system to determine maybe this isn't the right time to resurface that street. And of course, the bottom line is how much funding we have each year to go out and resurface streets. So that's kind of like the final category we look at, but we look at all that together.
And the effort to include those ADA ramps is, again, an effort to make these more accessible. So
Yes.
this could be where there are no ADA ramps currently, correct?
Yes, it could be ones mostly where they're not ADA ramps, but also if there's some that are older that need replaced, we will also replace them as a part of the project. Great.
And this is just phase 1, there will be a phase 2, correct?
There will probably more definitely be a phase 2, depending on funding, so yes.
Great. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Great, seeing none, folks can check out the website to see if repaving is coming to a street near you. If there's no questions, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Council President, I would like to go back to first reading on page 4, the Veteran, Senior, and Disability Affairs Committee, to ordinance 0683-2023, to authorize the city clerk to enter into a grant agreement with Think Veterans First for the purpose of supporting the 3rd annual Vet Ohio Expo, to authorize an appropriation of an expenditure of $7,500 within the job growth subfund. So the Vet Ohio Expo is designed to showcase veteran-owned and supported businesses who provide services or products to business owners or to the community. It provides an opportunity to link existing and prospective organizations with veteran-owned enterprises that can bolster their business operations and provide valuable exposure for veteran entrepreneurs in our community. This year's event will take place on Thursday, September 7th. We'll talk about a lot more between now and then, but mark your calendars. At the Columbus Museum of Art, also collaborating on the event are the Columbus Urban League, ECDI, and both the Ohio and Columbus Chambers of Commerce. So we're very excited, wanted to move this forward so we can get some services out there for our veteran entrepreneurs. So with that, colleagues have any questions or comments? Great. I move to amend to emergency.
Second. Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Amended.
Thank you, and now I move for passage.
Second. Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you, and that's all for me this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Recreation and Parks Committee, chaired by Councilmember Brown. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. This evening I have 2 ordinances in Rec and Parks. Ordinance 0100-2023 to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into a contract with Snyder Recreation for the 2021-2022 Playground Improvements Phase 1 CIP project to authorize the appropriation of $142,543.50 within the Recreation and Parks Permanent Improvement Fund to authorize the transfer of $1,175,000 within the Recreation and Parks Voted Bond Fund and Permanent Improvement Fund, to authorize the amendment of the 2022 capital improvements budget to authorize the expenditure of $1,175,000 from the Recreation and Parks Voted Bond Fund and Permanent Improvement Fund, and to declare an emergency. The 2021-2022 Playground Improvements Phase 1 CIP project is focused on providing safe and accessible play opportunities for children throughout the city of Columbus. All the playgrounds being replaced are beyond their service life and will be replaced with new equipment and safety surfacing, which will substantially improve accessibility and opportunities for children to play. I have Director Reese here to tell us more about Phase 1 of the 2021-2022 Playground Improvements Project and the company that's being selected to work on this project. Director Reese, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden, Chair Brown, council members. We're requesting emergency as this project is a temperature-sensitive work item with the hard and rubber safety surfaces that can only be completed under optimal weather conditions, such as today. Each site will have accessible play and rubberized safety surfacing at each playground. Three Creeks Park Playground will be a universal accessible playground to promote physical, social, and motor skills with a shade structure to include inclusivity. The lifetime of playgrounds is a minimum of 12 years. However, multiple variables lead to exact length of time. So we're asking that you pass this legislation due to the optimal weather conditions.
If there are no questions from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Also, President Harden, I have ordinance 0379-2023 to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into a contract with Dynamic Agility Sports LLC to provide instruction and management of the Carriage Place Community Center Dynamic Agility Sports Camps, to authorize the expenditure of $125,000 from the Recreation and Parks Operating Fund, to waive competitive bidding provisions of the Columbus City Code, and to declare an emergency. This legislation allows Dynamic Agility Sports LLC to provide instruction and management of the Dynamic Agility Sports Camps taking place weekly from 8:30 to 5:30, Monday through Friday, at Carriage Place Community Center between June 5th and August 11th of 2023. These camps are offered on multiple weeks for a total of 17 full-day camps and 27 half-day camps, serving up to 1,400 children during the 10-week summer camp session. A full and half-day attendance fee of $160 to $80 per week will be collected through the Recreation and Parks Department ActiveNet registration portal. A bid waiver is being requested. Director Reese, can you explain the reason for this bid waiver?
Thank you, President Harden, Chair Brown, council members. We're requesting the bid waiver due to this individual having worked with our department for a number in previous years, has served with our summer camp program, running multiple sports camps during the summer, but also throughout the year. This individual is also an individual that works with special needs individuals. So we're looking at someone who can handle a multiple of challenges that we have within some of our summer programs, but also to ensure that they're receiving the best care throughout the summer. Thank you.
If there are no questions from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Public Safety Committee, chaired by Councilman Remy. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Council President Harden. Tonight I have one ordinance in public safety, Ordinance 562-2023, to authorize the Finance and Management Director to issue a purchase order on behalf of the Department of Public Safety, Division of Support Services, for wireless data communication and cellular services and devices from an existing universal term contract to Cellco Partnership, doing business as Verizon Wireless, to authorize the city auditor to transfer up to $892,500 from the Division of Police General Fund budget to Division of Support Services General Fund budget to authorize the expenditure of $1 million from the Division of Support Services General Fund budget and to declare an emergency. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
That is all I have in public safety. Could I move on to, with your permission, to
Please.
environment? Tonight I have one ordinance in Environment Committee. That's Ordinance 540, 2023, to authorize the expenditure of $16,830,000 or so much thereof as may be necessary from the Division of Refuse Collection General Fund to pay 2023 waste disposal tipping fees and radiation remediation services for the Division of Refuse Collection, to authorize the Director of Public Service to authorize an encumbrance of $16,800,000 to pay refuse tipping fees to the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio for the Division of Refuse Collection pursuant to an existing lease agreement, to authorize the Director of Public Service to modify and extend a radiation and remediation service contract with Solution Technologies, Inc. to establish an encumbrance of up to $30,000 for a radiation remediation services contract with Solution Technologies, Inc. and to declare an emergency. This expense is necessary to safely and contractually dispose of the waste collected by the division in the course of pursuing its mission by providing residential refuse collection services to over 320,000 households weekly, picking up bulk items and illegally dumped items as needed, and to provide radiation remediation services to process quarantined loads at SWACO tipping sites. The Department of Public Service has determined that $16,830,000 should be adequate for this purpose. This number is based upon an estimated waste stream of 370,000 tons in 2023. Actual tonnage is ultimately dependent on variables such as the weather, the actual number of households collected that cannot be specifically calculated at this time, and the unknown amount of bulk and illegally dumped items. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. That is all I have this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the next committee coming before council is the Finance Committee. I chair the committee. In Finance tonight, we have two ordinances, both relating to the city's admission tax. This is the fee that is collected on tickets sold to events in the city. The first ordinance is 0631-2023. Is to authorize the Director of the Department of Finance and Management to enter into contract with the Franklin County Convention Facility Authority for the purpose of distributing 2023 admission tax proceeds from the Facility Stabilization Fund for the purpose of infrastructure investment in Nationwide Arena, to authorize the appropriation and expenditure of an estimated $2,765,000 from the Facility Stabilization Fund and to declare an emergency. By ordinance, 80% of admissions fees revenue collected at Nationwide Arena are set aside for maintenance and long-term capital improvements. The other 20% goes to support the maintenance of other civic, arts, and culture venues. This ordinance helps distribute funds for necessary maintenance and operational expenses across the facility. It also is important to note that the only admission fees that the convention facility receives are generated by the arena, making it a closed loop. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on this ordinance? Seeing none, I move for passage. Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bangston,
Abstain.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla, Mr. Brown, Mr. Dorans, Ms. Favor, Mr. Remy, President Harden.
Yes, ordinance is passed. Thank you. And the next ordinance is 0634-2023, is to authorize the Director of the Department of Finance and Management to enter into contract with Greater Columbus Arts Council, Inc. for the purpose of distributing 2023 admission tax proceeds to provide funding for grants to artists and arts organizations that serve as a foundation of the city's profile as a vibrant, inclusive city, to authorize the appropriation and expenditure of proceeds from the Creation, Innovation, and Inclusion Fund, anticipated to be $7,445,000, and to declare an emergency. This ordinance will provide funding for GCAC to administer a grant program to fund operating support for local arts organizations, project support, individual artist grants, and art fellowship. There is also special emphasis on supporting artists of color and artists from diverse backgrounds. I'm excited that this revenue is beginning to bounce back after COVID, and really excited about how this effort can connect all of our residents to the arts and empower our emerging artists in Columbus. Are there any questions or comments on this ordinance? Seeing none, I move for passage. Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Thank you, and that concludes the Finance Committee agenda. We're going to move into rules and regulation. We have one item on the agenda. It's A0086-2023 to repeal A0206-2021 and to remove Stuart Aragon from the Civilian Police Review Board at the recommendation of the board upon the concurrence of council effective immediately. I'd like to turn the floor over to President Pro Tem Dorans.
Thank you, Council President. At this time, I'd like to ask the City Attorney's Office to review the procedural history for how this legislation made its way to Council this evening, and whether tonight's legislation is a substantive review of the recommendations of the Civilian Review Board and the charges issued by the Mayor's Office. Mr. Shim?
Thank you, President Pro Tem Dorans, Council President, members of Council. The timeline for this matter is as follows. There was a special meeting of the Civilian Police Review Board held on December 19th, 2022, concerning the previous actions and comments of Board Member Aragon. Board Member Aragon was present and participated in the discussion. The board voted 8-1 to recommend removal of Board Member Aragon for neglect of duty, which is more than the 2/3 vote, or 6 of 9 members, that are required under Section 23501D of the Columbus City Code and Article 2, Section 3 of the bylaws of the Civilian Police Review Board. On December 22nd, 2022, Board Chair Janet Jackson sent a memorandum to Mayor Ginther informing him of the vote to recommend removal of Board Member Aragon. On January 4th, 2023, Mayor Ginther sent a letter to Board Member Aragon informing him of the mayor's intent to remove him from office and of the supporting charges for the removal. The letter informed Board Member Aragon of his opportunity to request a hearing before council regarding the mayor's intention to remove him. The letter requested that Board Member Aragon contact the mayor's office by January 20th, 2023, if he wanted to request a hearing before council. Mr. Aragon has not contacted the mayor's office to request a hearing before council. Because he did not request a hearing, the only matter before council this evening is the question of whether council concurs with the mayor's removal of Board Member Aragon or not, which is a procedural matter and not a substantive inquiry into the underlying charges.
Thank you, Mr. Shim. Want to pause and see if my colleagues have any questions for the City Attorney's Office at this time? Thank you, Mr. Shim. Before moving for passage, I want to say on the record that as we've just discussed, council is not reviewing the substance of the recommendations of the Civilian Review Board and the charges issued by the mayor. All that said, based on my review of the events, the rules and regulations of the Ethics Pledge of the Civilian Review Board, there is work to be done in order to help clarify and make more transparent the process for potential removal of Civilian Review Board members. This will ensure the independence of the board, its members, and allow for everyone to have a better understanding of the process so that personal viewpoints of review board members, even if unpopular, but ultimately not influencing decision-making regarding matters before the board, are protected. I'm planning to work with the chair of the Civilian Review Board, its members, and the City Attorney's Office, the mayor, and my colleagues on council on legislation on this matter so that no matter who may be on the council, review board, in the years and decades to come, that this body remains independent and an important piece of public oversight of policing here in Columbus. With that, I'd like to turn the mic back over to Council President Harden.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. Are there any further questions or comments on this ordinance? Seeing none, is there a motion to approval? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Approved. Seeing no further business coming before council, is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned.
Come on, everybody, don't stop, don't quit. Do it like this. Do it like this.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? So moved. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. We'll now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Dorans chairs that committee. All members serve on it. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, President Harden. Before we begin tonight's zoning agenda, allow me to briefly explain our current rules pertaining to speaking to council on rezonings and variances. We only hear staff presentations for ordinances that have a disapproval from a recommending body, or if we have public speakers signed up to speak against an ordinance. We have received 0 public speaker slips this evening, but we do have 1 area commissioner here with us tonight to speak on a council variance. All speakers on the variance, including city staff, area commissioners, applicants, and members of the public, will be sworn in before they give testimony. Representatives of an area commission and applicants are always able to speak on an ordinance and do not need to fill out a speaker slip. On the advice of the city attorney's office, I will now swear in city staff. Please stand and raise your right hand and be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer the pains or penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do. I do. Thank you. Please let the record reflect that Tim Dietrich from the Department of Building and Zoning Services has been sworn in. First, we have Ordinance 0588-2023 to rezone 5191 Riggins Road, being 16.47 plus acres located on the southeast corner of Riggins Road and Avery Road from CPD Commercial Plan Development District and LAR1 Limited Apartment Residential Districts to CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is Harvey Run, LLC, care of Laura McGregory Comic, attorney. Proposed use is a mixed-use development. City's Department recommendation is approval. The Development Commission's recommendation is approval. Hayden Run West Civic Association recommendation is also approval. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Thank you. Next, we have Ordinance 0630-2023 to rezone 6116 Cleveland Avenue, being .70 plus acres located on the east side of Cleveland Avenue, 180 plus feet south of Homeacre Drive, from LC2 Limited Commercial District to LC2 Limited Commercial District. The applicant is Kim Minerk. Proposed use is a daycare center. City's Department recommendation is approval. Development Commission's recommendation is approval. Northland Community Council's recommendation is also approval. Do my colleagues have questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Next, we have Ordinance 0552 to grant a variance provisions of Section 3361.02, permitted uses, 3356.05 F1, C4 district development limitations, and 3361.03 development plan for the property located at 3755-3799 Ridge Mill Drive to permit a ground floor residential use as part of a mixed-use development in the CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is Stephen Hicks, MGM Properties, care of David Hodge, attorney. The proposed use is a ground floor residential uses with mixed-use development. City's Department recommendation is approval. West Iota Area Commission's recommendation is also approval. And this evening, we have Commissioner Rita Cabral here with us to speak on this ordinance. Commissioner? And Commissioner, before you give any remarks, I'm going to swear you in. If you would mind raising your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer the pains or penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Commissioner, the floor is yours.
Okay. Council Chair Harden, council members, my name is Rita Cabral. I am a commissioner with the West Iota Area Commission and the new zoning chair. On December 15th, 2022, the commission voted to approve CV 22-100 with some conditions. The first was that it not be extended stay, and that was changed before crossing our table, and the commission and the surrounding community are very thankful of that. I want that to be clear, that we definitely did not want an extended stay in that area. Second, some traffic concerns were on the conditions. In January, the Division of Traffic Management said they could not commit to our conditions, but suggested other signage. This caused our vote to be a disapproval to the commission. The commission met in February 16th of '23, and the residents from Mill Run area in attendance because the city suggested signage. We had another vote on the traffic situation, and it was unanimous approval for the changes. The commission supports the reuse of the property at Mill Run, and that's the comments that I wanted to make. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate you being here this evening. Do any of my colleagues have any questions for Commissioner Cabral? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And next, move to amend as submitted to the clerk.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Amend it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0589-2023 to grant variance provisions of section 3356.03, C4 permitted uses, and 3361.02 permitted use of the Columbus City Code, so property located at 5191 Riggins Road to permit a ground floor residential uses as part of a mixed-use development in CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is Harvey Run LLC, care of Laura Comack, attorney. Proposed use in mixed-use development. City's Park recommendation is approval. Hayden Run Civic Association's recommendation is also approval. I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. I next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. That concludes tonight's zoning agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Seeing no further business coming before the zoning committee, is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned. We'll give a few seconds.